Alright guys, we are finally back underway into the action, into the games. So I will go ahead and unmute everything now, but we are going to be getting into the next match of the day. It is going to be B.Fly versus Mustache and Monocle, and like I said earlier, the winner of this is going to go on to play the winner of Gamers Origin versus Choke Overwatch. An exciting set of matches, an exciting line of bracket to go ahead and follow, and I will be joined with Scribe again. How you doing, Scribe?
Not too bad.
And it looks like we are going to get right into it. The players have already said that they're good to go, and we are going to go right into it. Let me go.
Man, I'm excited.
Have fun.
I'm excited for this. I want to see some triple tank push on this first point. That's something that I think a lot of teams have been working with, especially with running a triple support, triple tank composition. You build up a lot of on an ult, and it might be able to nano boost your way through that first choke point.
I can definitely agree with that, and we'll be getting into the introductions here in just a second, as we will be having B.Fly taking up the defense first, it looks like, and it will be Mustache and Monocle on the offense. So we do have a quick return to lobby, it looks like. Oh, forgot to invite a caster. That is a fail. We'll go ahead and get that caster invited right away, and then get right into it. I will see if I can assist and check caster chat. But yeah, I definitely agree with what Foster said in chat, and what you said. This could be a pretty exciting match, and then regardless, the next semifinal is going to be, I think, an exciting match. And basically, the top half of the bracket, like you said way earlier, is just stacked compared to the bottom half. I mean, the bottom half still has good names in there. Of course, you brought up Evox and Pretz, but at the same time, it's still the top bracket just seems much more, I guess, stable in the performances that you've seen from the teams. Mustache and Monocle being the only one so far that's been an upset, I'd say, in my opinion. I would have put BX3 personally, but Mustache and Monocle definitely looks like they're ready to go, and they deserve the win. They got it, but at the same time, they look like they're ready to play Overwatch.
Yeah, for sure, and we're gonna see how well HYP does against this B.Fly lineup, and maybe last game was a little bit of a fluke, but if he got to put on McCree again and is able to show off exactly why, he was able to carry this game last time and why they felt comfortable running a single DPS, maybe that'll be a really good look for them. But right now, it looks like he'll be on the McCree and stay on the Genji, challenge back on the Lucio, and knock on the Ana, Miklau on the Diva, and Kolstia on Reinhardt.
Yeah, pretty much the exact same comp that they ran to push at the beginning of the last map, and it was Dorado as well. They did let us know the map pool as well. We are starting on Dorado. As you guys see, we'll be going to Kings Row next, and the final map, the rubber map, will be Hollywood. So if we're needing that, we will go ahead and decide it there. But for the defense, B.Fly is going to be picking up Outsider on the Zarya. They're going to have Tom on a Lucio, MVP Badger is going to be on their Reinhardt, Casper over here on a Zenyatta. Real is going to be on that McCree, and last but not least, a Reaper picked up for Fisher. And I'd like to go ahead and highlight, I guess, the matchup Reels versus Hype. I think you said it, Hype. He went off in the last match for them in a lot of ways. He was a major driving force for their victory against BX3, but Reels, definitely, he's been on fire today. We saw him go off in the game that they played against their opponent. Now, definitely not to the same caliber as Mustache and Monocle, but definitely going to be a matchup to watch in this series, I think.
Yeah, it's a little worrying right now, but I really want to see how Naka uses his Ana right now. Like, as you can see, they're kind of giving up the first and second rooftop right here, trying to contest that middle choke point. But let's see exactly how they push through.
Yep, it is going to be Instay going over the top with that Genji, just poking forward, giving them that information about what's going on. Of course, lineups, positionings, that's what needs to be called up first, but it looks like they are going to be going for a similar strategy, and also the positioning. Oh no, Instay is going to be going to the left side, so they will be opting for that instead. We'll go ahead and switch over to him as they're going to go in and initiate charge forward. Instay going to get the kill on Reels after Casper takes out Kolsty, so a 1-for-1 trade so far, as there's really not going to be too much. Wow, 1 HP Instay was on, did not realize that until just now, but he will get out alive and get that health pack. Meanwhile, Hype takes out MVP Badger, so that's a good kill to start this out. Can they continue it? Instay looking for those kills is going to be able to help help Hype take out Outsider. But Casper, he's the one really setting it up for his team right now, getting 2 kills so far on this defense. But there's Hype again answering. He does go down to Reels though, so finally that's going well for him. But we see Casper still alive in the background, but he's now the only one alive. We'll finally get MVP Badger to come and back him up. There's Reels as well to go ahead and help with the situation, and Badger will be able to take out Naka. Casper going in very aggressively onto Instay here, and we'll be able to clean him up. Miklau with that fire, taking that fire strike over the top, and Flashbang as well coming out from Reels, helping out with that Reinhardt. Looks like they will be able to stabilize here for the moment as the fighting is continuing on, but the defense has more members as it stands. Hype might be able to change that with this Deadeye, though. No kills for that as Fisher was able to use that Wraith form to go ahead and prevent the damage coming out from it. It looks like the offense may have bought themselves another fight. There's an Earth Shatter, though. 2 heroes on that. There's going to be the D.Va over to the right side. Quite a few heroes over to the choke, and maybe the defense is going to go ahead and stabilize enough for the offense to go ahead and want to back out here and get Challenge back with them, but I say that, and they just want to go ahead and go. There's the punctuate it. They're going to go ahead and nano boost. Cole TSC pushes forward. The self-destruct coming out from D.Va. Michelob goes down, is able to take out Reels from that, and Fisher gets another kill as he's able to take out Hype and go outsider onto Instay, and so far the defense is able to stabilize pretty well here. Fisher still alive during that Graviton Surge, looking for as many shots into that as he can, as outsider gets one of his own during that. Now it is going to be Michelob going down, and they will be finally able to clean up that basically 1.5 minute clash, it felt like, but that was some serious clashing going on from both teams, and go ahead and let you make something of that.
Yeah, no, the man of that exact team fight is actually Fisher. Fisher stayed alive for so long that when he was like 1v5 with the entire team and was able to buy enough time for his team to come back and basically force out the fact that, you know, they're coming back full health and the other team has to walk a long way. So now they're back into the engage and they're pushing them off the point. Like, this is ridiculous.
And they are winning this very handily. Like you said, they pushed them back through the choke, fought it through the choke, and went ahead and cleaned it up really quickly. And now the offense is in a position where they did use some ultimates for that long prolonged clash, but they did also use or not really get much out after it, as they were losing those clashes, and they just lost last one handily. So all they have is a sound barrier. They will have a Deadeye now, but defense in a much better position. Fisher and Reels super close to their ultimates. Casper has his, and MVP Badger does have his, but there's going to be the Deadeye from Hype. Let's see if he can get anything from this. He's going to get Earth Shattered, though, actually, as the defense is able to get that off. Casper going to go ahead and push aggressively with that Transcendence as well, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3 kills so far for the side of the defense. Is in the background. The Reinhardt was caught out and cleaned up solo. Pushing forward is Reels with his teammate Fisher in the front. Rest of the defensive side is following up Fisher, and they're just going to go ahead and clean this up for the staggers. There's only 30 seconds left on the clock, and this is B.Fly looking like they just want to put the foot on the throats and make it look like they are by far the better team.
Yeah, that was really unlucky from the ultimate. Naka, I think, was looking for good nano boost, but nano boosted on top of a stunned target, and that thing just dissolved itself and just was completely wasted. So now they're gonna have an extremely hard time pushing this. They just have no ultimates up right now.
And there's going to be a Graviton Surge hitting on quite a few. They do get the Biotic Grenade out to try to negate some of that damage, but it's just not going to be enough. Fisher gets one as MVP Badger gets a double kill off the back of it. There's going to be the Lucio dancing on the card against Fisher, and there is going to be the Genji Blade coming out from Instay, but really, that's not that much. The Dragon Blade gets cleaned up in the end. That will be the end of overtime. That will be a full hold right after the choke point. But of course, it is the furthest progressed that will be the marker that they have to push to, which means it will be basically right to the precipice of point A, or point 1 if I recall correctly, but still, this is... Oh, man. This is not a good way to start, especially that was such a close series between BX3 and Mustache and Monocle. Mustache and Monocle edging out here, but just kind of getting throttled there on their offense. They weren't able to get anywhere that they wanted to go. They weren't able to pressure in any nature that they wanted to, and it didn't feel like at any point during that they kind of went to seek control. They just kept pushing in, like you said, the same way over and over again, and it just never no fruits from the same style of play, and they're in a bad spot.
Yeah, honestly, it didn't look like they had a lot of good flanking clear. I mean, they had Genji, they had McCree on that offense, but the big problem about Genji is that Genji's main task is to build up, just go for chip shots and try to build up that ultimate meter. Like, he's not the one who's going to go in, put in a lot of damage and get in the big flank. Reaper honestly may have been pretty game-changing there, being able to get into the backline potentially and, force out a lot of defensive ultimates from the defense, or basically force the backline out of position. And it would have been nice to see that. Another thing you got to notice is that, well, they were running Ana, they were running Lucio, but there was no Zenyatta, and Zenyatta could have been a solution to take down a lot of those tanks and amplify damage. But a lot of teams just don't feel super comfortable running triple support right now, which is a little bit of a off meta. I don't think a lot of pros really like it that much, but if you're gonna run an Ana, you can't just, for some reason I feel like you need that Zenyatta to do that damage amplification. Having 50% more damage on your Discord orb is invaluable. I think you definitely need to have him on the team.
Yeah, no, and this is honestly where I'd like to cite Hex again. I think he put it right. It is a Zenyatta meta. If you had to pick a hero that is kind of like the pivot point of the meta right now, it is Zenyatta. He is just so good, and again, it comes from I think that principle, like you said, it is the damage amplification, but also that he can heal and damage at the same time without any interrupt. It is absolutely pivotal for a lot of the way that the lineups are played right now aggressively. But speaking on a whole different point, we do have a Hanzo coming out from Fisher, and of course Hanzo was slightly nerfed in the previous patch due to the hitbox changes, so we haven't been seeing him nearly as much, but so far not getting too much out of it. The offense is going to get the payload through the archway, and there's going to be the initiation. See, the defense can go ahead and stabilize here because they need to win the first fight incredibly badly, otherwise it is going to be a situation where they don't have much room to fight with, really. Miquelo will be able to take out Real, so 1-for-1 trade, not a win yet for them, but not a loss either, as there is going to be more action going out. Fisher already up at 61% as he is doing plenty of damage, and that sonar arrow will go ahead and hit on the Reinhardt, so we'll follow him through the Earth Shatter, hitting on 1, 2, 3. It looks like from the side of the defense, Challenge gets himself a kill. Hype is able to take out Fisher, and the defense is pushing forward, cleaning up the rest of the offense here. This is definitely what they needed in their moment of hour as they were pushed to the brink there, but go ahead and let you speak on that as well as the Hanzo, as it is something different.
The Hanzo, this is what I feel, right? The first point, if you know that your opponents are going to be crowded around that area, spamming arrows through there, you might get a lucky kill, and I think that's what they were hoping for. It's a surprising pick, but it's also very good at clearing choke points, and that might be exactly what they're hoping for. They knew that on defense they were able to stall out that exact choke point by, funneling a lot of your defensive threats to that exit. But yeah, Fisher just gets a pick off, and now Fisher's ultimate comes up, and this is wow. Just puts a lot of damage on the defense.
And they're just going to go ahead and amp him. They're going to put it all in here on Fisher as soon as after this Transcendence ends. It's going to be a Zenyatta. It's going to be naked in the middle of the fight. He takes an arrow to the head. Will end up following MVP Badger. Takes out another kill. And then Zarya in the background. Miquelo is all alone against multiple heroes. Now it's up to this. Well, Lucio's not going to do too well against Hanzo, and Fisher is feeling it. He's gotten 2 flick arrow headshots there. I'm going to be looking for another one onto the Tracer. Tracer able to dash onto the point, but now McCree needs to get this kill. Hype will be able to do it, so if it's going to start with their defense, it had to begin there, but Reals takes out Instay, and now Hype's down to 8 HP, and unless this Deadeye is absolutely huge, which Reals ends up taking it out and shutting it down, is going to make that much harder for that to be the case, as the kill feed is just lighting up for nothing but B.Fly, and B.Fly will go ahead and take the first map in a very dominating fashion.
Wow, that Hanzo niche pick, man. I don't think they were expecting it. That was just something I think that they didn't really think that they'd be used. But the big problem is, remember, they only had to get it through that first point, and the hardest part about that first point is that initial yellow wall choke point. If they could get the Hanzo ultimate off, like you saw, they were able to pick off the Reaper, and Fisher was able to snipe out the Lucio almost out of nowhere. But it's just ridiculous watching this, because it's a very smart thing to do. If you know that, hey, all I have to do is build enough ultimate to get through this initial point, and you're doing a blind pick, your opponents have no idea you're doing this, it can work out to your benefit. I don't think they were ready to adjust to have that such a large choke point clearing ultimate Sated Dragons going through, and just wow, that was really smart. I would say honestly that's really smart. It's a really goofy thing, no one expects it, but clearly it works.
Yeah, and honestly, to even put it in more of that boat of the unexpected, the unexpected is that Casper was running the Ana in instead of Zenyatta, and was still running it with the Hanzo, so they were running Hanzo Ana nonetheless. So I mean, it was really different in a lot of respects. I mean, we don't see that at all. Like you said, I mean, it is one thing to be even discussing Ana as a double support without the triple support set up to run her, let alone running a Hanzo and an Ana, and I don't think that you can ever really go into it and call that or predict that strategy. And that's, well, in my background coming from Dota, pocket strategies were super important. You wanted to draft, you wanted to be able to play what the meta was. You needed to be able to play the stock standard lineup, whatever cores were popular. You needed to be able to play them because they were good for a certain reason. It's similar in Overwatch. You do need to be able to play that standard meta, but if you can play something different and it is your style and you play it well and it works just as well against the current meta because maybe counterpicks it, or it's at least decent enough at it, but you play it well, that surprise factor, it can win games really quickly, as we saw.
Yeah, that's definitely surprising, and wow, I don't know how I feel about it. That's got to sting for for Mustaches and Monocles right now, where our team was able to pull out like a Hanzo, which is honestly not even considered like a very high tier character, maybe not even like a C tier character, and was able to take that point. That's got to sting a lot, but also it's got to start building questions in the back of your head. Are they going to pull it out anytime soon? Like, this was an offensive Hanzo, but Hanzo has also seen a lot of play on defense as well. That's got to pick into your brain a little bit. Maybe not directly, maybe they're not talking about it, but let's say, they're on another point, another blind pick point. You got to imagine someone's thinking in the back of their head, hey, Fisher could go Hanzo again.
I completely agree with that, and at the same time, it is another whole conversation that is worth bringing up here throughout this cast, but the whole tier setup right now for the heroes is in a situation, of course it is just based upon picks, but the scene right now is not at all, and I will switch up the titles, is not at all looking at the other heroes that are not in the top tier, and that is just maybe a product of the game being young and the meta being young, but more on that in a second as the offense has initiated in. The side of B.Fly is going to be able to force Mustache and Monocle off the point and able to maybe get the first tick before the counter initiation comes out. Instay is able to take out Reels, and Colsty gets a charge on to Casper with Hype taking out Outsider, and Fisher was able to answer one kill, make it two, and that's exactly what they needed in that moment of need. However, Naka is able to take him out and shut that down before anything else can happen from that, and that is going to be the first push cleaned up in the side of B.Fly. Well, they almost got the first tick, but they did it, and that's the key part for the defense.
Wow, that was unfortunate. When they were looking for the big engage, they looked to split basically the defense. They were looking to split Mustaches and Monocles, but they just were never able to do it. They cut it back so perfectly, and now it's the same thing. They're cutting back together. They're making sure they're staying together and zoning out backline threats. And right now, there's just no openings for them to get there.
And Hype gets himself a double kill Deadeye, one of those being Fisher with the Dragon Blade, who had finished the channeling, and that means of course he isn't going to have the Dragon Blade for quite a while, and the defense will be able to stabilize. However, the offense was able to get a tick, but I would not be willing to trade a Dragon Blade just for a tick. I think a Dragon Blade is definitely an ultimate where you're looking to get the point, if not at least 2 ticks, and the offense now going to be low on ultimates currently, though Casper close. Challenge, and look at the defense, it's all 80% plus across the board right now.
Oh, they're gonna bait them because right now Casper's calling, hey, I have ultimate right now, let's go in. They're gonna wait for the, oh no, they're just not gonna go, they're just gonna go straight in, and this is exactly what the defense wants.
Yeah, but they are able to get the pick onto Colsty, and that might be the beginning and the difference. They need to go ahead and actually win this. So far, they have gotten on the point. It is still being contested. Deadeye is going to come out from Hype, and there's going to be a Rabadon Surge as well. Only one shot went off. That was interesting. The targets were able to get behind the cover quick enough, I guess, but the kill feed is going to nothing but the offense right now as they were able to duck behind that. Tom did get picked off by that Deadeye, but the rest survive, and now Fisher continued to push forward. He's got close to another Dragon Blade, and the second Dragon Blade of this game could be a much bigger one. We'll see if Fisher's able to do that or not. That's up to him. But nonetheless, we're into the streets phase, and a 2-minute take on the first point isn't bad. Definitely in the middle ground for both teams, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah, remember we're talking about how the defense allowed their ults. Casper with that huge Zenyatta ult just mitigated all of them, forced them to kind of hold their ultimates. Now they're re-engaging and they're going through the street points.
Yeah, Hype gets himself a kill onto Fisher right after that. Earthshatter now is able to take out Outsider, Instay and Colsty getting 2 more kills as well, and they're able to get control to Arch and push him back, and the stagger of those deaths in such a way makes it so that the offense is going to take an additional 10 more seconds to actually get in any position to get that in. I guess an interesting question for you there. Colsty ends up using his Earthshatter there on a solo target. Now, I'd say it worked out, of course, because they won the fight, hindsight 2020, but in a vacuum, how do you feel about using or something like Earthshatter to get that solo pick?
Yeah, so it really depends how much your team values that solo pick. If they feel like, hey, this is completely worth it, getting one person down, then okay, let's watch the engage first. I'll try to finish the rest of my thought. To pop that offensive Lucio ult kites people back right now. A lot of damage, mitigated right there, but they're back where they started.
Yeah, Hype was able to take out Fisher during that, like you said, and Fisher was in the Dragon Blade during the sound barrier, but they don't end up capitalizing enough off of it. But after it, without the ultimate, just fighting raw, they're able to take better fights, it seems, as Casper takes out Colsty, who needs to press Q when you can just left-click better, and that's going to be good shots, good team play, and good opportunities capitalized on by B.Fly, and they will be able to go ahead and take the point. Felt a little awkward, though.
Yeah, but to go back to that point, yeah, if you value that one target that you can Reinhardt ult and take immediately out of the fight, then go ahead, do it. Ooh, Mikolo looks like he just disconnected. I wonder how much this is going to affect their defense.
Yeah, it is definitely the elephant in the room in these situations, and hopefully they can go ahead and stabilize off the back of it, but Fisher is going to be pushing in as well as the rest of the offense. They're going to go ahead and initiate right now. Graviton Surge helps clean up too, but the rest of the defense in the backside just taking shot after shot as Reels is able to clean up not one but two. Kolsty ends up going down along with Challenge to him, and now Naka goes down. That's 3 kills for Reels and 1 kill for Fisher, and I'm pretty sure, unfortunately, well, that DC definitely not helping the defense here, as they only really have the Earth Shatter and a few heroes left to really fight it out. There is a Transcendence as well, and a Dragon Blade. Even if B.Fly was fighting 6 heroes right now, they have the ultimates to go ahead and secure the capture of the point. And at a time of 4 minutes and 40 seconds, hopefully they will be able to get their player connected. We can go back to lobby since we have the time now, but still, that is a fast time, and even if they got their player back and won a fight or two, they'd still be looking at a sub 6 minute time potentially.
Yeah, I honestly don't think that disconnect happened at a really shitty time, but it wasn't something where I think it automatically changed the flow of the game. It almost looked like, hey, that might not have been like a huge difference maker. Obviously, the defense is gonna say otherwise, that we needed that one player back. It's obviously unfortunate, especially in a stopwatch format when stalling for 2 minutes might just be enough. But like I said, I mean, it was kind of very back and forth. Very good, Zenyatta ult usage by Casper. I was just floored by it because the amount of damage he was able to mitigate from all his different ult usages was ridiculous. Like that one point where we're talking about the defense having a lot of ult charges, high 80s. No better way to stop all that than have a Zenyatta ult, a reactive Zenyatta ult. Now that's actually really interesting to think about, like the order you use your ultimates, right? Because the defense popped their ultimates, Zenyatta ultimate, and they were able to go in, but Casper waited it out for maybe 2 or 3 more seconds, popped it immediately in response, and was able to take advantage of the fact that the team can't do damage. Your team on defense can't use their ults they need to clear the team fight, and because of that, they were able to get very good sustained picks, and were able to basically, push forward and negate the fact they had an ult advantage. I don't know. Casper is very impressive right now on his Zenyatta, and that might be the way they win this game.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I mean that goes back to a point. When I was Casper Dorsar recently, we had a mini discussion across many games about the or across both of the games about Zenyatta, and the fact that the Zenyatta who ends up ulting later has that advantage of taking the fight a second or two longer with that AoE healing, and unless you have a burst damage ultimate like Diva's, Tracers, Junkrats, or Deadeye, you're going to be in a situation where that is going to do so much to your team that it is outright impossible to win fights under 300 HPS. And I mean, that's really what you expect out of your Zenyatta play. At the end of the day, it is awesome if your Zenyatta player can go ahead and go off and just take out, the entire team by himself. But at the top level, that is definitely going to be more on the shoulders of the DPS players. And when your Zenyatta is able to just save a fight by pressing his ultimate at the proper time, it really matters. I mean, at the end of the day, video games are just pressing buttons at the right time, but in these situations, the higher skills, the higher stakes, there's a lot more room to make mistakes and a lot less opportunity to make your plays refined and perfect. And Casper's hitting his windows. I gotta agree with you there. And I mean, that's what they need to do to win. I think it's been said in chat as well. They need a breakout tournament as well. They've been close. They've gotten one second place, one third place, I believe, and they just haven't solidified themselves a first place finish yet. That was, well, I guess the solidifying factor, right? And first place, maybe a second one, and then top 3 in a bigger tournament like E-League would be the dream for, of course, B.Fly or something like that. But can't really think of too many others that are going on right now that are outside of the Go4 to really solidify their names. But yeah, it is a situation where they do need to personally or as a team go ahead and get that defining win.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate right now. The last few months, like last month, was a huge time for a lot of big tournaments, a lot of invitationals, a lot of open qualifiers. But now we're hitting kind of the weird rut where we're about to hit Gamescom, we're about to hit the start of E-League, the final qualifiers for E-League. So a lot of, for example, Go2 Gamers is taking a week off, another 2 weeks out, because we want to allow a lot of the bigger names to go participate in these tournaments. So they might not have any time right now, but if B.Fly obviously qualified, it's like people would definitely have them on their radar. I think that if you're a tier 2 team or one of the bottom of the tier 1 teams, you're definitely thinking about, playing against B.Fly, because it wasn't that long ago when a team like Graviton Surge was up and coming and people didn't really think that they were going to be the best team. And now clear standouts in the European scene as Misfits, and very similar for Inox. Also, just a very, I guess I don't know, it was a very niche team initially, but after they made the pickups and the fusion from the team 425, they became a very standout European team, and now they're a force to be reckoned with. They've been pulling a lot of upsets.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, on Graviton, Surge, and Misfits, I mean, before 2 weeks ago, or I guess maybe it's even been 3 weeks, there's so much going on, it's already getting harder to keep track of all this stuff. But when they were picked up by Misfits, before that, Graviton Surge was looking good, but they were not looking to the degree that they are Misfits right now. And Misfits definitely a strong pickup looking at Graviton Surge and deciding to go with them. But they qualified first, like you said, they went through first. They are looking absolutely terrifying now, not to the same degree as Envious, but that brings up another thing. As I posted on one of the match threads for the BTS Cup, Envious was absolutely just dominating, basically tore through Cloud9 and tore through all of the competition. That's pretty much been the story. They did have a close match against Fnatic, but maybe Fnatic is the talking point to bring up there at the beginning. But what I want to emphasize is that it will be very interesting to see what happens when the LAN comes up in the next week or 2 weeks at Gamescom. As of course, no lag communication could make an absolutely big difference for these teams. I mean, a lot of these teams are practicing 8 to 10 hours a day, but they don't have the same gaming house that Envious has. They have the backing, they have the financial backing, they're paid to play the game, but they don't have the no lag communication. And that can make a big difference to see if the scene is as solidified as people think. And I mean, the spillover discussion is, if Envious doesn't win at the LAN and the scene looks really close, that looks really good for the tier 2 teams, because really there isn't a clear delineation between tier 1 and tier 2 right now.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, the big elephant in the room is that this is the opportunity where if you're a tier two team that's doing well and you guys want a bigger sponsor, this might be a good time to show exactly what you got and maybe pick up someone else. Because let's be like what H2K recently pulled in Esper's new team, which was arguably a little debatable in the community because not a lot of great tournament results. But in terms of other teams that have had good results, recently, just One Shot, Too Strong, all these organizations, all these really strong tier two teams getting really big organization sponsors. And if you want to make, Overwatch your career, what better way than to show up now and have a team like Mouse Sports, or even like a football club or something come and sponsor your team and be your overall organization.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. And I mean, it is one of those situations where they don't have the results, and it is it is how do you in the eyes of a lot of players, how do you justify that when you look at these other teams who, I guess, oh no, in the North American scene, for some of these teams may not have heard of them, or players, viewers may not have, because they're more paying attention to the European scene. But I mean, like we were saying, oh no, that earlier, they made a huge splash in the Atlantic Showdown out of nowhere. And I mean, why consider picking up a team with a name when you can pick up a team with results? And that's kind of the elephant in the room, like you said. And I feel like that's going to start changing here soon. Definitely, it's harder to say for, of course, I come from a Dota background, and the competitive scene was solidified over a long period of time from Dota 1 and, of course, Han and other games that fed into it. But in this game, it's brand new. The tier system, or the tier breakdown, is brand new, and a tier 2 team could be a tier 1 team next week with the right practice and a pickup of an organization and the ability to quit jobs and focus in on the game. Because at the end of the day, the players that got the open beta, they are very good players. A lot of them brought in from other first-person shooters. Of course, TF2, you look at Clockwork, you look at Enigma, and look at Seagull as big name examples. But at the same time, that doesn't strictly mean that they are going to be the best players in a year. New talent could easily change that big time as more players get brought out.
Yeah, I agree. The scene is just so young right now, and the big reason why a lot of teams are kind of panicking, a lot of organizations are panicking and buying into it, it's because if you told me, hey, this game came out like maybe 2 years ago, official release, and there's a $300,000 tournament that's going to be hosted on TBS, that's ridiculous to me. That is almost like Counter-Strike recently just got their own E-League, and they've been a really solid community for so long. They've been in such a developed scene, but Overwatch is very young still. Like, we don't even have set rules. Like, it was not that long ago where we reverted to one hero limit as a kind of a policy and stuff like that. So it's kind of ridiculous that there's so much money in the scene. There's so much hype around the scene, and Blizzard's just cultivating that. So a lot of teams are thinking, "Hey, we need to jump in now," and they're willing to reach out to anyone with a name that they've seen performance from. Maybe they don't know if they want results. Maybe they just want following. So it could be something along those lines.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And along the side, guys, we will be getting into this match here in just a moment. We are waiting on one of the players, but I will be in the caster chat as well, or to make sure that admin chat to make sure that if the worst case scenario needs to be happening, that it can go ahead and be as clear and delineated as possible, so that there are no confusions with it. But hopefully that doesn't need to be the case. We don't need to be talking about that horrible thing called a forfeit, and we can get straight into another match here. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It is a very young scene. It's absolutely crazy. I think that a lot of the ways, and how could I forget Tailspin? Of course, Tailspin has been absolutely tearing it. There's just too many names, honestly. And then you go into Quake, you go into so many other games, and World of Warcraft is the ironic one to bring up. Of course, Debit Kai coming from that background as an example. But there are so many instances. Of players from different backgrounds. But yeah, it's a young scene. There's so much money already into it. There's so much exposure available in it. But at the same time, I think that the cool thing about that for me is, I guess definitely a free market ideology on this is that it is a clash of as many possible competitors as possible, and that makes it to the point where only the best competition is going to rise to the top. And with so many people wanting to get into the game, with so many people wanting to get better at the game and to best other people, the competition is only going to skyrocket at this rate. I don't think that we will see a stagnation of the play. Now, meta, of course, is a different topic. I think that we can say that it's a cause of a young game right now and a lack of, multiple balance patches to let people figure out strategies and compositions and idea. But looks like it is unfortunately going to be a forfeit loss, unfortunately. Yeah.
It's unlucky. It's unlucky to say because if you're reading the chat right now,
match.
the big part is apparently ESL Wire is running havoc right now. And that sucks because ESL Wire is anti cheat, is like a really good anti cheat for ESL. And with all the all the allegations recently, all the witch hunting recently, people always want this anti cheat software, but people have to have to do it right. It's tough to get something that's both intrusive because it's been intrusive enough to look for cheats on your computer, but also be able to run in a way such that it isn't giving off very heavy loads on performance and requiring your computer to have ridiculous amounts of RAM. Because as much as we like to say everyone has a gaming PC, some of these players aren't really playing on like very like high builds, like very expensive builds, because they might not have the money for it yet. So that might be something to look out for.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I mean, that all feeds back into the previous conversation about the youngness of the scene. I mean, there are going to be new people coming into the scene. Some of them may be working a full-time job on top of practicing and playing, and it can be very hard to keep up with the same degree of technical support that the top teams have, and that some people are used to in that experience. But at the same time, guys, we will be getting into a next game as soon as possible. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the bracket during this overtalk, but B.Fly will go ahead and take a 2-0 victory. We already have the bottom semifinal going on right now. It looks like Evox did go ahead and take out Team Eager, and Top Mid Esports was able to take out other team. Now, who is on that team? Because that is... none of these names ring a bell. Cuddles, Crusade, LJT, Morpha, Nomad. They were able to take out other team, and that's really surprising to me. And actually, they took out the Click Effect, and the Click Effect upsetted. God, I've casted so many games recently, I can't actually recall, but they upset a Tier 1 team recently in a Go4 Cup. I want to say maybe it was Northern Gaming Red, or Blue, sorry, but it was. Yeah, I think it was Norman Gaming Blue. It was right before the breakup. But Top Mid Esports taking out two huge names in my opinion, and they've made it to play against Evox. This is an interesting tournament so far.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're looking for big names, look no further than Evox. Evox has Mick R, actually. I guess I don't know if that's Michael, but he was formerly of Overwatch Kings, formerly of that team, and now has gone on to form his own team. So that's why I'm particularly involved or been having my eye out for this team. But you know, a lot of new teams, a lot of great talent here, and I mean, it's a great opportunity. What better way to show off, you know, to get potential sponsors or just, you know, generate more fans than to do well at this tournament? These are, I mean, there's it's not like saying there's not great teams here. There are definitely great teams around here. So being able to make a showing for that in the top bracket, Choke Overwatch beats Pretz Gamers Origin over Redskins. So we'll be seeing. Hopefully, that game looks honestly pretty cool. Pretz, man, wow! Pretz is an example of an organization that just has been around for a decent amount of time. Was one of they had very good showings in very early on in the Ghost to Gamer weeklies for EU, and just have been, I don't know, have just been inconsistent. It's not
Yeah.
they're not a bad team and they're still pretty good, but it's just that, man, these have been so
Yeah,
inconsistent. They win
recently
games and just lose games.
they had a decent run, but yeah, but outside of that decent run, it has been kind of shaky for them. But to piggyback off of one of your points, I kind of want to bring up as well. It is a situation where a lot of the people who look at these games, and it hasn't explicitly been said in chat today, but it has been said before. Like these aren't the professional teams. Where are the best teams? These aren't. But at the end of the day, guys, these are going to be your tier 2 teams. These are going to be honestly, from watching the game myself, I feel like I can finally speak a bit authoritatively on this, but these are some of the best teams in Europe that aren't seen on your mainstreams all the time. They are going to be the up and coming teams, your skill rating 70, 80 plus players, and these are the kind of teams that honestly, when I was playing Dota, these were the kind of teams that I looked to study for, not only because they were the teams that I needed to beat to be able to succeed, but studying these kind of teams and looking to study from the tier 2 is actually sometimes beneficial because they are taking what the best teams are doing and adjusting it for themselves, because they have to be able to not only emulate what the best teams are doing, but it has to work for them too, right? And so if they're not able to find a good adjustment, then it will not work out for them and they'll lose games and they won't be a tier 2 team. So they got to where they are by being incredibly strong players. They just haven't had that breakout performance. So I definitely encourage that if you're looking to get into competitive play, that you look to study some of these and find the footage you can of these up and coming teams, because they are going to have some of the better adjustments of the current meta, because they have to. They are adjusting, not creating the meta in that respect.
Yeah, a good thing to point out is if you kind of look very carefully at, like, compare this scene right now to the Counter Strike scene, we're comparing these teams to the likes of like Epsilon, NC, Space Soldiers, and among other like the old LDC teams, LDLC teams, where they have a lot of great players and, you know, they have great results. All they need is like one breakout performance or go to like one great tournament. Like, these are very notable teams that have very star players, and it's kind of a weird thing to talk about, especially as we're talking about, you know, teams staying together. But hey, if you're a star player in a tier 2 squad and you're doing ridiculous results right now, what better way than to get picked up by a tier 1 team and kind of move forward with that? We saw that with the likes of Zapri. We're seeing a lot more pickups with like KYB being
Yeah,
picked up
I
by
was about to bring
Reunited
that up.
straight off of the ranked ladder. And I remember Overwatch Kings was like, hey, we need someone like this too. So there's a lot of big names like Shatter 2K. Who can forget about this guy? Ghost, and it's like all these other, like, sorry, Snow and that, like Snow and Shatter 2K. All these great, like, I guess what we'll call them for now is Pug stars, but
Yeah,
it's like
no,
it's ridiculous. This scene's
that's
still very young about that.
I'd completely agree with that. And honestly, on the KYB, want to kind of clear up a little bit of myth here. But yeah, it was off the ladder, but as well, Nuki, the founder, and also she does a lot of stuff for the German esports scene. But she was the captain of Tropic Gaming, and KYB had played on them, and she had met him on ladder and been friends with Reunited, and they ended up playing with Reunited, and Reunited was like, hey, KYB looks pretty good. They played with him and on ladder, like you said, and then between the connections of Nuki and the team, KYB was able to find himself a spot on Reunited. So again, I'd like to also emphasize that as a clear up in the sense that playing on another team and showing results and having good ladder performance, the combination of the two is probably got what KYB there. Connections are always helpful. But at the same time, I mean, you have to be able to perform in the instance, and being able to play against a team. Like if you play against Reunited and they go, oh God, this Genji, he was a threat, then they are going to look at you and they are going to remember you, and you might find yourself on a team that is a step above where you were at before because of that threat that you created. Definitely
Yeah.
agree with what you said there.
No, I definitely. So just keep at it, guys. If you guys want to be on a pro team, you have to, you know, keep practicing. Maybe you'll impress people on stream. And, you know, General Hulk has said this before, but Louis from Colorado Clutch was a player that was very noticeable, and a lot of people talked about him in the kind of the open beta and since the release, and he's a very talented player. So people are definitely noticing. Pros are definitely noticing. If roster changes are needed, they might not go for another. They might try a new untested talent, and that's something esports is going towards. The big story, obviously, from Counter Strike is Stewie 2K, who was just a huge NA kind of like a homegrown pub star talent who was so young at the beginning of the series that they weren't aware. I think they were waiting for him to get old enough to bring him onto the team. But he was an example of a player a lot of professionals really liked and thought he had very nutty aim, very nutty skill. And now he's playing for one of the best teams in North America and has shown that he's one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. There's examples from pretty much every esport in that respect, but the older the sport, the more examples there are of that. So, like I said, guys, it is a situation where the combination of watching, practicing, meeting, and playing is the key. But we are going to be getting into the next match here in just a little bit. We are waiting for the side of Choke, Overwatch, and Gamers Origin to go ahead and finish up their match. So we will be going ahead and giving it or sending it over to some music here in just a second and to a break so that we can refill our water, coffee, whatever that we need to continue the cast for you guys. And you guys can, of course, have some time to grab a snack, as I know that the Overwatch is so engaging that you guys have to watch that over the gameplay. Smiley, coppa face, of course. But outside of that, guys, really there isn't too much to discuss. If you guys want to follow more and know more about the event, you can type in !bracket, bring you a link to the bracket. You can type in !standings for the July standings, which is the previous month. We are just into the first month of August now. And of course, you guys can type in !casters if you would like to go ahead and get a link to my Twitter, RaptorZOW, or Scribe, who's joining me at Scribe with a 1 instead of an IOW on Twitter, and you guys can go ahead and follow us there, as well as ESL Overwatch for more ESL action, as of course they do tweet out about the Atlantic Showdown, they tweet out about Go4 Cups, they tweet out about anything that is ESL related and Overwatch related. So if you guys want information there, definitely follow that. But outside of that, I don't have any other thoughts to say before I swing over to break. Scribe, is there anything you wanted to say before we go over?
No, honestly, keep up with the rest of these teams. Excited to cast next match.
Awesome, guys. We'll be getting right back into it. Go out there on social media. Let your friends, let your fam know that we are going to be bringing you guys the semifinals between B.Fly versus the winner of Choke Gaming and Gamers Origin. The action only gets more hype. The games only get more intense. At least that's what we all hope for. We're all in the same boat there. So definitely get out on social media. Let your friends know. Let your fam know. And we can get some more people in here for these games. And for the first semifinal, hopefully the only semifinal, since if the other one goes too long, it would be one of those situations. But hopefully semifinals next, finals right after that, and then guys, the Go4 Cup will be wrapped up and one team will be walking home with a fun €150. Until then, enjoy the music, get a snack, get some drinks, and we'll be back in just a moment with more Overwatch action for ESL Go4 Overwatch.